Sky Patrol, and no one's tougher than the Sky Patrol Havoc, the Blazing Skyhawk, Sky Shark, and Sky Raven.
Hey, welcome to Half the Battle. You know, it's been a good long while since we last looked at Sky Patrol.
The Sky Patrol. A decent idea with some unfortunate design choices. The Sky Patrol were a bunch of paratroopers who got some repainted older vehicles to use. There were two things wrong with those. One, they were all blindingly reflecting silver, and two, you had to buy the figures and vehicles separately.
So, let's count the ways that Hasbro used to save a buck, shall we?
No new vehicle molds had to be made, as they were all repaints. Kids had to buy the vehicles and then the figures themselves, and those figures were also just repainted toys, albeit with a new head sculpt. Today we're looking at Sky Patrol character Static Line. His figure was released in 1990 with just one original body part, his head. The rest of his body was from Backstop, a Canadian psychopath we've already looked at. I'll admit, I like this color scheme. Better than the original, in fact. It fits better together than the eclectic green and red and gray they used for Backstop. Using this body mold does reopen a design flaw I had closed, though. With Backstop, it made sense that only his shoulders had armor, since that was the only part of him exposed as a vehicle driver. Static Line, however, being a skydiver, has no such excuse. Only his shoulders are protected, leaving the rest of his torso open to bullets, knives, and bullets with small knives strapped to them. I think he realizes this, since he doesn't have the happiest expression on his face I've ever seen. One last nitpicky thing. The figure has a paint smudge on his belly, something only my version has, I'm sure. Sloppy quality control, I guess. His accessories are weird. He has a double-barreled laser gun that he's supposed to hold with both hands, and it looks like something Moon Knight would use. He's also got a weird-looking handgun that looks like half an Uzi or something. Next up is his helmet, which, as I said in my Backstop review, sorta resembles that one. Only it's far better as there's an actual visor on it. It's a neat little thing. Lastly, like all Sky Patrol figures, he came with a case and a folded-in parachute, one you have no hope of getting back into the bloody thing. And of course, it's blindingly silver. And this was the only toy of Static Line ever released.
So, with that, let's take a look at the character, starting, as always, with the file card.
Firstly, I should mention a static line in this context refers to a cord that automatically opens a parachute when you jump out of an airplane. The file card itself has two parts. One talks about his job, the other about his personality, sort of. His function, outside of jumping out of airplanes, is demolition expert. And the file card sorta takes a stroll around realism to arrive back at a movie cliché. The card says most demolition experts blow things up. Static Line, on the other hand, diffuses explosives. Assuming they confused bomb disposal experts for a demolition expert, this is actually true. In the real world, explosives are disposed of by blowing them up instead of trying to defuse them. It's much safer that way. They either shoot them from a safe distance or send in a robot. In fiction, however, it's always some guy who cuts the right wire seconds before the bomb goes off. And that's what Static Line does.
You know, it's still a cliché even if you do point it out first.
The second part of the file card says a little about what the guy is like. He's good at finding things. Like on the ground, I mean. Specifically money. And it's not because he's lucky, it's because he always examines the ground carefully before stepping on it. Which is a good quality. In a minesweeper. Not sure how much good it does a demolitions expert. Static Line wasn't featured in the comic as far as I can remember. In fact, I don't remember seeing anybody from Sky Patrol, so we can skip that section this time. Sky Patrol did show up in a couple of episodes of the D cartoon, but the focus was never on Static Line, so there really isn't that much to say there either. In conclusion, the figure itself is pretty neat, illogical armor aside, and he at least got some characterization in the file card. It's definitely not a must-have for every collector, though.
See you next time, everybody!
No one outside Sky Patrol! Sky Patrol is G.I. Joe! Here comes Sky Patrol, and no one's tougher than the Sky Patrol Havoc, the Blazing Skyhawk, Sky Shark, and Sky Raven! No one outside Sky Patrol! Sky Patrol is G.I. Joe! Sky Patrol figures come with...
Oh, by the way, yes, I did see that new bright orange Hiss tank that Hasbro is coming out with this year. You know, I'm pretty much convinced that nobody at Hasbro has ever seen my show, but just in case that they did, and this is actually the result, well played, sir. Well played.